Hello everyone, I'm not leaking snot everywhere, and welcome to Midnight Club. We're chasing down one Lucas Howell Jones, and we're chasing him down in particular because he has a car set we really want. It's the best car set in the game, at least for my purposes, and it's what we're going to be winning the game with after we beat him. If you have a playstyle similar to mine, as soon as you get to London, I recommend making a beeline straight for Lukas to get this car set, because you're not going to be able to beat the game in the RE, or if you do, I want to know how you did it. As for chasing down Lukas, it's as frustrating as most of the other Hookman chases, but slightly more so because of the area where you first find him. There's a long stretch where he runs behind buildings and takes wide corners and you have great chances of catching him, and then there's a long stretch with a straightaway where you have no chance of catching him at all. So you just have to play wait game until he gets behind the buildings where it's easier to chase him down. Chasing down Lukas is always my least favorite part of London, but after we do that and get his car set, we'll be set for the rest of the game, and most of the other races will be a piece of cake, assuming, we memorize them, which thankfully for you I have. You may have noticed I've lost Lukas at least twice already, and that's because the RE is starting to show its age. The game really wants us to switch to a newer car set. And Lukas is probably the hardest of the three Hookmen to race, so maybe you aren't supposed to go for him first, but if you play with my playstyle, it's ideal. I just killed that lady.
Let the master teach his pupils a little lesson.
We have two sensible choices at the start. We can either pull to the right or pull to the left, but we want to pull to the left because that's where Lukas is headed and it's the faster route. You can still win the race if you pull to the right, but you have less chances of doing so. And especially since we're using the RE, we want to come to the left path as there are more turns this way, and we're really good at turns. Now the two paths have converged, but most importantly up ahead there's a killer 90-degree turn. We barely made it. It is definitely possible to take that turn a lot better, but we're still gonna win. I still have faith that we're gonna win. Especially because there's one small alley up here that Lukas is hilariously terrible at, and we're gonna smash his face in with our RE. It's right up here. Bam! Eat shit, Lukas. Alright, so after that we're just set. Unless we completely wreck, we're just set. We just won the race. We're good now. We smashed Lukas, we still have one nitro booster left, and it's a clear shot to the goal, and we're in the lead.
Lucky, mate. Really lucky. Yo, guys, here's the number. Give us a buzz when you want to get down to it, but not like that. Look, mate, you ain't got a hope in that banger.
So you may figure we're going to switch immediately to his set, but I'm too used to using nitro boosters, so we're going to stick with the RE until we unlock his final car, and then we're going to switch over to his set. This makes it harder to adjust, but not impossible, especially since I've played the game before.
Look, hurry up, mate. I've got a tidy sort out tidily, if you get my drift.
No, I don't get your drift. I couldn't understand what you were saying at all. So it's actually really easy to get ahead of Lukas here at the start because the start is just one big-ass curve. Then as we reach the bridge, there's a relatively minor straightaway, but because we're already ahead as of the curve earlier, we're going to do fine. And the track segues back into long curves immediately after. So we're doing good. We've got Lukas beat. This might actually be the easiest race in London for me. Because of the way the map is laid out, there's just so many turns, and we're so much better at taking turns than Lukas. This probably has a lot to do with Lukas's car set and the way it controls. But we'll get to that later. It's good for us to take turns with, but I can see why the AI would have trouble taking turns in it. Especially with how often the AI likes to goof up. But I almost always finish with 5 to 10 seconds over Lukas in this race.
taking a Michael, mate. That was a bloody fluke. Look, mate, you ain't got a hope in that banger. I thought we were racing cars, not tanks.
So this race can be really scary because it's short and Lukas will inevitably get ahead at the start unless you have a faster car than the RE. But after the initial straightaway, it's pretty much all turns the whole time, all the way through. So it's inevitable that we're going to catch up. No matter how bad things seem right now, we're going to catch up to him. Because slowly but surely, he loses speed on each turn, and we won't, even though we keep crashing. If this was another short race and I was behind this much, I might restart. But I just know this track well enough to know that he's going to fuck up on one of these turns and we won't, and we'll be fine. Because that's how I play the game, you know? These curves, they're like warm milk. They're like warm, soft, gentle milk. Delicious milk. Beautiful, delicious 2% milk. From like Kroger.
You're taking a Michael, mate. That was a bloody fluke. Look, mate, you ain't got a hope in that banger. What is that? I've never seen a tip with wheels before, mate.
Lukas, if I may offer a small suggestion as to the race route you pick, maybe you could pick races that aren't all curves. Especially these wide curves, these wide, comfortable, smooth curves that are really easy for me to take in the RE. Maybe you should pick tracks with more straightaways where the RE isn't so good.
Hey, mate, slow down.
Because this track is just curve after curve after curve, and I don't see you winning this one. I mean, at the end, it's seriously just a big drive around a circle. It's just a big old circle with 4 yellow dots and then a green dot. What were you thinking, Lukas? Do you want a mulligan? I'll let you have one mulligan. You can pick a better track, and we'll race again. Because look at this. Seriously, it's just a big circle at the end. Come on, man. I'm even crashing into everything. Catch your ass up. What are you doing? You're a failure, Lukas. That's what you are. You're a failure. To Lukas's credit, after I smash into this car and wall sideways, he almost catches up for a second. But if I hadn't crashed into that wall sideways, I'm pretty sure we would have been fine if I just kept racing normally. But we're still gonna win because Lukas sucks. He's so bad at everything. I hate Lukas. I'm not even fucking paying attention anymore, I'm just ramming into everything. Come on, man, give me a challenge here. I played Driver 3 recently. You know how hard Driver 3 is? Give me something to work with here, man. See how much I'm fucking up? How are you not ahead of me? I like scraped the front of my car on the wall.
Yo, bro, look what a cat dragged in. Mate, you're one lucky chap, I can tell that. No thanks. I'm washing my hair.
So now we're going to switch to the final car in Lukas's set, which is the Modicum XSV 2.5, sorry, 0.25, and it's a huge change in handling. It's still the kind of handling we want, and it's faster than the RE and takes turns better than the RE, but oh boy does it take getting used to. So the best way I can think to describe the Modicum XSV 0.25 is it feels like someone turned on a slippery physics cheat. That seems accurate for how the Modicum XSV 2.5 controls. We're just going to call it the 0.25, alright? So, yeah, it's a little hard to get used to at first, but after you learn how to deal with the slippery physics, you can take way smoother turns than you can with any other car in the game. The trick is to have faith that if you push hard enough right or left, you're going to make the turn. Because that's just how it works with the Modicum that's how it works with the 0.25. If you press right or left hard enough, you're going to make that turn. Don't use the handbrake, for the love of God. That's why you don't use the handbrake. That right there, if you use the handbrake going at any reasonable speed, that's what happens. You spin out of control. Don't use the handbrake with the .25. If you're about to hit a wall hard, that's fine. Then you can use the handbrake like this to change the angle you hit the wall. But if you're going at any reasonable speed and you're not really close to a wall, then be careful. It's like fucking rotating a Tetris piece, but the Tetris piece won't stop rotating. Chasing Lukas is a good way as any to get used to how the .25 controls. Can be a pain in the ass, but it also shows you the upsides. One of the upsides is not how much damage the .25 can take. The .25 is a very delicate car, and it's actually the easiest car I've found to damage out with.
Look, I was raised on the street. I'll take you all out.
No matter what you do at the start of this race, you get rammed in the ass by a double-decker bus, but don't let that distract you. You want to take a hard left and head straight for a shortcut that you don't even know exists, but you'll know it exists when you wonder where the characters went, and they appear to have gone off the map entirely, when in reality they went over here.
Hey, mate, slow down.
Broke through this barrier, and went right under the water. After you know the shortcut exists, the race is a piece of cake. The hardest thing is leaving the shortcut with elegance, because it's really hard to pull out of the shortcut properly. We managed it pretty damn good there, though. Normally I go spinning out of control. But if you manage to find and take that shortcut well, then you're pretty much set, assuming you're driving the .25 anyway. The rest of the curves are the kind of thing that would be a breeze with the RE, so they're even more of a breeze with the .25. The straightaways are very minimal, and even though there are straightaways, because we're driving the 2.5, we have a better chance of maintaining the lead on them than with the RE. Basically, the shortcut's the only thing in your way in this race, and leaving the shortcut, of course. Leaving the shortcut is the hardest part by far. Somehow one of Lucas's buddies crawled up our ass, which I don't even understand how that happened, and I accidentally do some sick Tokyo drifting shit, but I assure you that was completely accidental. And I don't know how he does it, but Lucas's friend pulls up alongside us again. This almost never happens. This is the only time it has happened to me in this race. But there's a surefire way to beat all of Lucas's buddies, and that's to take the ramp. All of Lucas's buddies go around the ramp, but if you take the ramp, you'll beat them handily.
Bloody good fun. Oh, no. I was raised on the street. I'll take you all out.
So this is a race where the non-linearity of the checkpoints can start to get a little confusing and absurd, but you still don't want to follow the arrow. You want to follow Lukas and take the path he takes. The problem with this is, of course, that when you get in the lead, you can't follow Lukas because you're in the lead. And after this next turn, we have to cross the river, which is where things get really fuggy. As soon as we cross the river, it may seem like a good idea to get those 3 checkpoints lined up perfectly, but as a general rule for this race, you want to take the outermost checkpoints. So we're going to take a right, and take the checkpoint way out there on the outer section, because otherwise we're going to have to backtrack to get it, and that will take far too long. And because we were smart and decided to take the outermost checkpoints first, that checkpoint we ignored earlier will lead us right to the goal. In a very fluid fashion, that would not be possible if we decided to follow the arrow. That was almost dangerous, but thankfully the physics in this game usually help you land on your wheels. Yeah, so you see, we very handily beat everyone else out, and that's because of the route we chose to take. The outermost checkpoints are the key in this race, otherwise you're going to get confused and get lost in the park, and it's a bad time all around. At this point everyone's starting to catch up to us, but it's far too late. We have such an immense lead now, there's no way they're going to make it.
I was raised on these streets. Mate, you're not bad. Not bad. You need to find a city champ. This guy will give you a real race.
So now with Lucas out of the way, we have a choice between an old friend and a new female driver. I think her name is Emily, and then we'll have to race the London World Champ. We got quite a bit ahead of us, but with the .25 under our belt, we're more than ready.